So welcome to a late night edition of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency news. I promise to splice that out later on. Today, I think it's a good day to have a live session, and that's because Bitcoin pumped up above $12,000 once again. So definitely a very good day, and I'll tune down the microphone so it's a little bit loud. And let's have a lively Q&A, a live crypto Q&A, and discuss what's going on with Bitcoin, why it's so strong, why I think it's going to continue going up, and we could talk about some of the altcoins that's been skyrocketing up, and I could discuss some of the videos I put out, including the ones today. I think it's a good one. But anyways, thanks for tuning in, guys. Make sure you hit the like, subscribe to the channel if you are new. And I think you guys will enjoy today's session. All right. So I see a lot of people already tuned in. Let's get started. Again, I apologize about the mic issue. That's the second time now. I gotta up my game, so I apologize. All right. Let's do this here. Let's put the live chat on the side here. I don't know what you guys are drinking tonight. I am just going to be drinking Miller, actually not Miller Lite, Bud Light Lime. You know, I've been drinking a few today, so I think it's okay. It's okay. All right. So Bitcoin is holding at 12,001. So it shot up as high as 12,084 before coming down, but still holding above 12,000, right? And just a day ago, I posted this chart. I'm like, that looks like something's about to happen, right? I didn't draw it out, but that looked like a bullish pennant or whatever you call that. But I'm like, that's pressing right against 11.9, and the pump above 11.9 could happen soon. So if you're Martin Belfast, I think you owe me a beer because you disagreed and you're wrong. Just kidding. But it just looked like, right now as a Bitcoin holder, you just, you're feeling relaxed. There's just really nothing. There's no narrative out there that can really scare a holder right now. There's nothing. Bitcoin fundamentally is strong right now. It's holding strong. It's operating like it's intended, and with the way the economy is going, the fear of inflation and devaluation and all this and that, right? That only helps Bitcoin at this point. So Bitcoin is definitely strong. This is not a time to be fearful, not a time to be shorting, to be a bear. This is definitely a time where, you know what, just grab a beer and just hold on, because it's going to be a wild ride, and it's going to go much higher pretty soon. So that's what's been happening with Bitcoin, right? And let's take a look at a couple articles. Ones I didn't show, but kind of stresses what I've been saying. Number one, here's a Wall Street veteran that says basically everything out there on Earth is inferior trade to Bitcoin. So basically thinking the same thing, right? There's just really nothing to be fearful about with Bitcoin. So to quote him, in fact, only one asset has offset the growth of the G4 balance sheet. It's not stocks, not bonds, not commodities, not credit, not precious metals, not miners. Only one asset massively outperformed over almost any time horizon. I don't know what that means. Yup, Bitcoin. My conviction levels in Bitcoin rise every day. I'm already irresponsibly long. I am now thinking that it may not be even worth owning any other asset as a long-term asset allocation, but that's a story for another day. I'm still thinking this through. So this is a Wall Street guy that's looking at what's going on around the world, especially right now with inflation or hyperinflation that's coming up, and devaluation of not only the USD but everything else, basically because of the endless printing. And he's looking at overall performance of everything, everything that's out there, commodities, bonds, stocks, precious metals, nothing outperforms Bitcoin at this point. So this guy is thinking the same way I am right now. So pretty bullish, pretty positive. And here, some of you guys may have noticed this or been looking at this, but there's a lot of people that's been talking about the weekly close above 11.5, which just happened. So according to this person, CEO of Arcane Crypto, Bitcoin recently broke the technical resistance around 10,500. Is shaping up to print the first weekly close above 11,500 since January 2018. Over 2 years, almost 2.5 years. This is very bullish. Looking at the underlying market development, it's not unlikely that BTC can reach a new all-time high above 20,000 USD by year end. Well, certainly it looks like it could happen now because it's at 12,000, right? When we're still hovering around 8 or 9,000, getting stuck below 10,000, still kind of iffy, right? And that was pretty much for the last 3 months until recently. Broke above 10,500, right? And then it just started climbing up and up and up and up. And now with the way Bitcoin is going, yeah, 20,000 by year end. We still got 4 months. That could certainly happen, right? And this is a pretty bullish signal as well. Closing above 11,500 on the weekly. So, and take a look. Bitcoin is still heading higher. This is a great time to be holding Bitcoin. Those of you guys that haven't tuned in for a while, yes, I am back. Thank you for your words and thank you for tuning in. It's some of you guys may or may not know. I think most of you guys know by now, but I was off YouTube for about 3.5 months because I was banned by YouTube. Now, see, here's the surprising thing, and I'm just gonna rant a little bit, right? So there was a lot of crypto YouTubers that were banned around the same time, and that's because YouTube is utilizing more machine bots to kind of filter out content, and somehow they filter my channel being dangerous or violating terms of service. But I appealed, no answer. 3.5 months. Finally, someone pointed me to a person that was able to help me, and that person was actually a YouTube employee. So they escalated my case. Finally, I got it back. But it took me 3.5 months, right? And my channel is still not the smallest, 60,000+ subscribers. But I'm looking at all these other channels. They get theirs back like immediately, like almost a day or 2 days or whatever. So I don't know. I don't know what the deal was with my channel. But, you know, there's channels with smaller subscribers or equal subscribers to mine, and they got it back right away. I just don't know what it was with my channel. It's just kind of weird. But anyways, just rambling on a little bit. I'm drinking Bud Light Lime, okay, just so you guys know. But anyways, I'm back. Still trying new things. So I'm still trying to grow this channel. So hopefully you guys have been tuning into my daily content, shorter videos, you know, basically to the point, and I'm trying to like free flowing it, right? So not so much reading off the script. I still show you my face, which some of you guys request that. It's a weird request, but still, you know, trying to please everyone and trying to grow the channel. So you guys definitely need to help me and tune in my videos, especially the one today. And I'm going to get to that in a little bit. But anyways, with that rambling, things are looking pretty good for Bitcoin, right? Now, some of you guys, I know you guys, there's really no one that hates Bitcoin, but I know some of you guys are like altcoin maximalists because you want to earn 100x or 1000x returns, which I hear everyone wanting to do that. Why wouldn't you want to make 1000x return, right? But I see very little people that actually achieve it because it's really hard to sit through the up and downs and go through emotional stuff and not be manipulated, right? So today I focused on a video called DeFi Bubble. Is it going to burst? Now, a lot of people just looked at the title without even actually watching the video and just started splurring out all this stuff. Like, why are you causing FUD again and this and that, right? They just didn't even listen to what I was saying. But here's the thing. You know, if you guys didn't watch it because I'm not trying to spread FUD, just spreading caution. But overall, I think the end conclusion is that it's going to continue. It's not going to burst like tomorrow. So I think a lot of people just didn't watch it, and if you didn't watch it, but DeFi, since I created that video this afternoon to now, the total locked value for DeFi has increased. So the total amount locked is 4.63 billion. Okay, that's a lot. This is, if this is accurate, this is across basically every single lending platform for DeFi, and it's growing exponentially. In fact, it's almost up 10x within a single year. That's pretty darn amazing, right? Now, I finally heard a response that kind of makes sense, and why DeFi is actually a good thing. Okay? Now, almost outside of this response, almost every person's response is basically biased and emotionally attached, because you could tell they're heavily invested in DeFi or a project that's involved with DeFi. So they don't want anyone to try to bring it down. So basically, they don't want to hear any of it, and they'll go bash anyone that talks bad about it, which I'm not, just stressing caution. However, there's one response that I finally heard that makes a whole lot of sense, which explains why DeFi is good as a whole for the ecosystem, not just for 100x or 1000x gains on individual tokens. So here it is. So whoever you are, Bobby Giggs, if you're watching this, good for you. And he explains, and it's too bad I can't zoom in here, but George, I think you're missing the big picture, which is that 4.6 billion is now being removed from SEX, the centralized exchanges, and traded peer-to-peer via DEX. We finally have a tool to disrupt centralized exchanges and straighten the narrative for crypto and decentralization. This has been our ultimate goal. They said crypto won't work. They said we can't coordinate ourselves well enough. They said we could never surpass centralized solutions. This is the proof they are wrong and we are right. Once we get past scaling solutions, we could program finance as we want in our own image. Fam, this is like ants with machine guns. We can walk up right to Wall Street and take over the place, decentralize everything. All right, so he kind of explained away where I got what he's trying to say, but to summarize, he's saying DeFi is good because it screws the banks. That's ultimately why so many people, I think, love it and support it, is because we want to take the power away from the banks. Right? Which, I mean, I guess a lot of people deem the banks as inherently evil, and they do some bad things, and they need to get bailed out because they don't know everything. But banks are essential right now, let's be honest. However, DeFi does take the power away from them, and especially if it keeps growing the way it is. I mean, think about it. If it grew 10x within the last year, if it grows another 10x the next year and another 10x the next year, it's really going to take power away from them in terms of, you know what? No one is going to be depositing or lending. Basically, no one's going to be depositing or borrowing from these banks when they can do so a lot easier, cheaper, and get rewarded more for using a DeFi product or a DeFi bank, right? So if you look at it that way, I think that makes sense. But no one up to this point, until Bobby really explained it, everyone else is just like, yeah, look at these returns, right? Look at this, go up 10x, 100x, whatever. No one really tried to explain why DeFi is good. And I finally kind of get it now after reading what Bobby says. So thank you, Bobby. It makes a lot of sense. And if DeFi continues to grow, I think it could be a good thing. I mean, why was Bitcoin created, right? Bitcoin was created to disrupt the banks, basically, to disrupt basically what the Fed and central banks and everyone else is doing with money. That's why Bitcoin was created. And right now, it's not really filling that role. It is filling the role of store of value. However, DeFi looks like it's going to fill that role in terms of actually disrupting the banks and central banks and all that stuff. So, yeah. So if you look at it that way, I think it makes a whole lot of sense. I don't know about you guys if you're feeling that way or you just simply care about 100x or 1000x returns, but to me, I think that makes a whole lot of sense. So just want to clarify that. What could happen if the Fed and federal government run out of money? They can't. How would they ever run out of money? They just print more. It's literally not possible for them to run out of money because they're already out of money. That's why we have national debt, and they'll just keep growing. They never have to pay that back. It's not something anyone ever plans on paying back. So they'll never run out of money. However, the more you print, it dilutes everything else out there, right? It just makes sense. So if it keeps getting diluted, people that actually is holding cash, their value is getting devalued, right? So that's how it is, and it sucks. So that's why you might not notice inflation over a year or two, but over 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, you're definitely gonna notice it. So yeah, they are running out of coins in banks. The banks can't print enough new coins. That's because of COVID right now. A lot of manufacturing, of course, has halted. So yeah, that's why. What do you think about lower cap coins? Which ones have good potential? I haven't looked at any low cap coins. I have been paying attention to DeFi coins, and that's because that's the whole point right now. A lot of enthusiasm, a lot of FOMO into DeFi coins. So looked at a few of them. Obviously, the biggest one that people are looking at that's not directly involved with DeFi yet is essential is Chainlink. And that is why Chainlink has been going up so much. There's a couple reasons why Chainlink jumped up recently, and I actually have a video right here that explains it. But basically, there's a massive short squeeze that happened, and it caused Chainlink to pump up from basically $9 all the way up to $14 today. It almost hit $15 before coming back down. But that company, Zeus Capital, they got liquidated and it actually helped Chainlink. But another reason why Chainlink is so popular right now is because the Oracle setup is essential for DeFi. All these lending companies, or projects I should say, they need to gather their data. They're utilizing smart contracts, they're utilizing oracles. So that's why Chainlink is so hot right now. And it seems like almost everything that's involved with DeFi is hot. So not only Chainlink, but obviously every lender is just skyrocketing. Like Aave comes to mind. They're above 500 million in market cap, and they have shot up like 10x within a short amount of time. Chainlink has gone up, and the other players in the game, Compound, Synthetic, and others, they're all going up right now. Now, there's a project that I want to talk about next week. I got to do more research on. They're kind of like a competitor to Chainlink, and they're flying high right now too. So anything that's involved with DeFi is really hot right now. So in terms of, if you're talking about low cap coins, anything that's 10 million, 20 million, 30 million in market cap, I'm not looking at them because there's too many that's out there. That's just, I think we've learned our lesson in terms of just investing in companies that we're unsure of, right? So there's too many out there that's either on spotty exchanges or they have a spotty history. Their leadership is just too young with no experience. There's too much of that right now. So it's important to concentrate on what we know, the ones that are executing, the ones that are doing really well, and concentrating on some of the DeFi products, which I think could revolutionize a lot of things in modern finance. Now that I kind of understand what it's really intended for, not just for 10x or 100x gains, I think it's important to pay attention. Oh, I don't know why I'm drinking water. Jimmy, man, you gotta be so. You can't be so long on Chainlink, man. And just so you know, you did not introduce me to Chainlink at 250. I saw Chainlink way before $1. I talked about it with my insiders long ago. I know you want to take credit for that, but just FYI. To answer your question, have I bought any Link? Yes, recently. I had some. Even my video, I said I didn't have that much, so I bought some recently, and yeah, I think Chainlink. I've always said, I always maintained this position that I think is overvalued, but in the crypto world, I think anything goes right now, right? And they're actually one of the projects that actually has traction versus a lot of the other projects that really have nothing going for it. So. Trump just banned WeChat today. Yeah, I've been hearing about that. I've been hearing that he was planning on doing that. I didn't know it actually happened. But let's see. Let's take it up. I mean, these are saying that he will. Doesn't say it's done already. Here's the thing. I just don't get it at this point in time. These companies like WeChat, TikTok, I mean, even Zoom, a lot of these apps are created by Chinese companies or have been invested by Chinese companies for a long time now. So why this? Why now? Right? I just don't see how this helps his re-election chances. I mean, and this thing with TikTok, it seems like he's only doing it to force their hand to sell to Microsoft, at least the US division. And then Trump said that Microsoft should pay the US government a cut for this. It's like that doesn't really make any sense, right? So is he expecting that every single company that gets banned now has to create a U.S. division, and some U.S. company will buy it, and then the U.S. government has to pay them some kind of royalty or something? I don't know. It just doesn't make any sense, and I just don't get his logic right now. Maybe it's to get back at China, but during re-election year, I don't know how this is going to help things. I just don't get it. Maybe you guys do, but I think this timing of it is just really weird. Because Chinese spies are communicating. Okay, if there's Chinese spies communicating, you think that they only use WeChat, they don't use anything else out there? Like, you can't use Skype or use Twitter or use any other communication tool that is not WeChat? That doesn't make a whole lot of sense. What's TikTok? It's just pettiness because of what happened on TikTok for the rally. Oh, that kind of makes sense. Yeah. So I think the rally turnout in Tulsa, Oklahoma was really low because there was something that happened on TikTok or something. I think I remember reading that. That actually makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Jimmy, I'm glad you're in this space. I'm glad you're enthusiastic about Chainlink and just overall in crypto. I think those of us that's in Bitcoin and altcoins, just crypto in general, we're ahead of the game. Obviously, most of us are in it to make money, to make life-changing wealth. But, if you step back and look at a bigger picture, what Bitcoin and crypto and now DeFi is actually doing, yeah, it's pretty amazing. This is a system created by the people, for the people, and it's trying to disrupt a system that's been around for hundreds to thousands of years that seems to can't ever change. But now we're kind of forcing change, and that's pretty amazing. So if you step back and actually think about the bigger picture, it's quite amazing. Why change what? Do you think we'll see BTC at all-time highs in 2020? At this point, I really think we have a good shot, right? We have a good shot of moving up. So, you know what? I haven't shown this in a long time. Let's just bring it up and see how close we are. We can't do day interval. Let's look at weekly interval. All right. So this is a chart that I used to show about the last 4-year cycle and the current one that we're in, right? So I've always looked at this, and I said we were right on track, okay? If you look at where we are now versus what happened the last 4-year cycle, we're about dead even. The only thing that threw us off was that drop down to 3,800 because what happened with the stock market and fear and stuff, that was unanticipated. However, you can see right here, right? That was that drop to 3,800. However, we recovered really quickly, kind of went sideways, and now we're starting to go back up. These green arrows is our lines I drew, and this is where I expected Bitcoin to be in order to follow the previous path, the previous 4-year cycle, which took about what is this? About 1,100 days from its previous high to making the same high, and then from that day forward, Bitcoin went up 1,500%, and this was back in 2017, right? So I was looking at the same thing. If we go about 1,100 days from our previous high of 20,000, that's going to put us somewhere around here, January 2021. So when I drew this, Bitcoin was right around 10,000, 9,000, 10,000, and I'm like, okay, it's gonna go here and then slowly go up here. Obviously, there's gonna be up and downs, but overall, the path will be like this, right? And you could see Bitcoin is resilient, right? It dropped down and it came up right away. We had another month, 2, 3 months of just sideways movement, but now you can see it's coming close. It's getting back to being on track, right? So to make it back to 20,000, it could happen. It could happen, especially what's going on around the world, right? There's just a whole lot of people, institutional investors, especially institutional investors, just large hedge funds. They're all starting to look at Bitcoin as a hedge against inflation, and they're buying and buying and buying and buying, and it's a big deal, right? So that is why Bitcoin is recovering in a big way. It's going up in a big way. And finally, recently, we have broke through some hard resistances, right? Like 10,500. That was a big one. And we broke through it. And finally, Bitcoin is now forming new highs, which it wasn't able to for the last 3 years. Finally, heading into the 4th year, we're finally breaking through it, right? And this is all looking pretty positive. Just look at this. Just look at this. This giant wedge, right? Giant wedge that Bitcoin has been stuck in. Every time it tried to form a new high, it gets pushed down. So it kept forming lower highs, lower highs, lower highs, until now, boom, right? This is obvious, right? It's not just one candlestick. This is 4 consecutive weeks that Bitcoin has been going up, and now it's up in a big way. And now you can see it is breaking through this next high point after 10.5. 12,000 is the next one, and then there's one at around 13,000, 14,000, and then after that you have one at 16,000, and then you have 20,000. And by the end of the year, can we hit 20,000? I guess the short answer is yes, after saying through all that. All that stimulus and spending is making the dollar weaker against Bitcoin. That's true. That is true. You can't really, if you look at like a dollar versus a dollar, Okay, it's a dollar, right? But how you could tell a dollar is deflating and it's losing its value is when you compare it to something else. So if you compare it to Bitcoin, then you could tell the dollar is losing because Bitcoin is worth more now. Same thing with gold, right? You compare it to gold, gold is at 2,000 plus now. The dollar is losing, right? So it's hard to look at inflation if you only have dollars. So if all your investment, everything is in dollars, then to you, you're not like, you're not going to notice, right? But when you compare it against something, like against Bitcoin, against gold, or even a Happy Meal at McDonald's, right now, $5 for a Happy Meal, but in 5 years, it could be $10 for a Happy Meal. And then why did the price go up? It's because the dollar devalued, right? So it's really hard to see inflation until one day you just realize it has happened already. All-in says I have zero chain link. Well, you should look into it. That's one of the altcoins that I think is gonna have a very bright future. So let's bring up CoinMarketCap. And I think it's no coincidence that a lot of the high flying coins fell down drastically when Bitcoin started pumping. And that included Chainlink because Chainlink was close to $15. It fell down to $13, but still, so what? $13 was still higher than yesterday's point. So it's pretty obvious that a lot of money was taken out of altcoins, sucked out, and put into Bitcoin. But it's usually cycles, right? And then after Bitcoin goes up, kind of stops at a level, then a lot of the money flows back into altcoins. So I think we'll see that. We'll see that soon. But if you look at overall BTC dominance, it's still around 61%. So overall, things aren't too bad in terms of just the money flowing in and out. Pretty much still equal between Bitcoin and altcoins. So if you look at Ethereum, back up to almost $400. That's pretty positive. You know what? You know what a better chart would be, or a better list, I should say. Let's look at Coin Codex. So look at the last month performance. Okay, I think this will be a telling story in terms of who's been gaining and who hasn't been. So you look at BTC has gained about 29% for last month. That's not too shabby. But Ethereum is up 63%. Pretty darn good. Even XRP is up 50%. That's pretty impressive. XRP is one of those that's never moves, right? However, before those of you guys say, oh, look at ETH is up 64%, so why would he buy Bitcoin? Here's the thing, though. You got to remember, Ethereum has been weak for a long time. Look at, compared to all-time highs, it's still down 75%. And XRP is still down 93% versus all-time highs when Bitcoin is only down 39%. So before you guys just jump on this and say, oh, look at it, it's been going up way faster, keep in mind that's because it's been weak for so long. However, look at Chainlink at number 6 now on the list, 121% within the last month. This is why DeFi is going hot. It's really hot. Whatever you say, even if if you like it or you don't, it's fair to say that DeFi is in a bubble. But can that bubble continue to grow and grow and grow and grow? I think so. But Chainlink is up 121%, and it is only down 9%, and that's because it formed 9% from today. It's been forming all-time highs pretty much every week now. It's just really, really amazing. Okay, if you go down the list, what else has been strong over the last month? I mean, almost everything is green, but a lot of these are less than Bitcoin. So if you're holding an altcoin that's less growing less than the Bitcoin, that's not good. So that means you're losing your BTC value. So what is growing faster? Otezos growing faster, but still down 70% from all-time high. Monero growing faster, but still down 84% from all-time high. VeChain has been doing really well recently. I'm glad to see it. They're number 19, up 18%. Didn't grow as fast as Bitcoin. However, take a look. They're only 25% down from all-time high. So VeChain definitely has gained momentum, and I'm glad to see that. Cosmos has been doing well, almost 58% gain this month. Still down 43% from multi-highs, but it's getting up there. Zcash up 67%. Man, Zcash is down still 98%. Wow. Zcash was at $5,900 at one point. What? I don't recall ever that Zcash was at almost $6,000. That's pretty ridiculous, man. This is how you could tell we're not in full-blown altcoin season, okay? Because I'm gonna point the camera down a little bit, because look at how far we still are from all-time highs. What else? Lend, Avi, right? One of the DeFi coins that's been red hot, up 94% this month, and it's only down 13% from all-time highs. But I still can't believe how fast Aave has climbed. I'm still not sold on some of these lending products that have been just skyrocketing. Okay, I think it's just unhealthy, but it is what it is. Compound is another one. It's actually down 7% for the month, which is pretty amazing, but that's because it's already so high. It's already 443 million market cap, and it's down from its all-time high. So that means it formed its all-time high last month. What else? Synthetics, same thing. Another DeFi product up 60%. Look at Band. Band is up almost 1,000% within a single month. Okay, yeah, this is ridiculous. And they're a competitor to Chainlink. 985% within a single month. Elrond, another project that's not DeFi, that's actually a protocol, and they have close connection with Binance. I really like them. They're up 174% within a single month. That's pretty amazing. I heard Theta formed some partnerships, but it really didn't help them. They're up only 30%, so barely above Bitcoin, still down 41% from all-time high. Zilliqa made some moves recently. I don't know why, and it doesn't seem like it's relevant. Their whole not corporate structure, their whole structure in terms of their leadership has vanished. And if you look at their website, you can't even tell who's leading a project anymore. And they're still down 90%, and I don't see them recovering ever. What else? Waves up 60%, surprisingly. Swipe, I'm assuming they're another DeFi product, also up 331%. Balancer, Kava, they're in the DeFi space, up pretty significantly. Yeah, so everything. Ocean Protocol, some people asked me about it. I looked into them. I was not that impressed. So I don't know. A lot of people think Ocean Protocol, it's basically a data marketplace, like an IOTA competitor. And it's actually built for AI, which makes it worse, I think. You know, it doesn't have to be a data marketplace for AI, but they're specifically targeting AI, which just not necessary right now. It's just way too young, and there's no need for that. But a lot of people like it and pumping it up 331%. Decentraland, they're still around for some reason. Yeah, what else is there? Rune, some people talking about Rune. I haven't really looked into them. Nexo, man, Nexo is down 20%. Aurora, Tomo Chain, yeah, that's about it. Quant. I wonder if Neo will ever come back. It's not doing too bad. If you look at it, it's $13. Now, if you compare it to a high of 195, yeah, that's still way off, 93% off. But overall, Neo still holding the top 25, let's say. That isn't too bad. When full-blown altcoin season comes, all these will go up substantially higher, right? But right now, Project Neo, they're put on the back burner right now, and that's because they're not really executing right now. They're still working on Neo 3.0. I shouldn't say they're not executing. They're still working towards Neo 3.0, but not a lot of excitement going on right now, right? Same thing on IOTA, not a lot of excitement going on. The excitement right now is DeFi, mostly because they're pumping, but they're actually, use case for them right now, right? So yeah, eventually they'll come back up, but right now you gotta wait a little bit longer. It's just surprising to kind of go through this list and realize that some of these projects, even though they've been going up so much, they're still down like 98% or 94% or 93%. Like Neo is still down 93% from its all-time highs. IOTA is down 93%, right? This is pretty amazing to think about how high they were at one point in time. Jimmy, can you check your halving chart for us 107 days after halving for Bitcoin? Tell us what you think. August 27th. It's going to be hard to pinpoint that. So halving was around here somewhere. Bitcoin was around 8,000 or ish. No, probably, yeah, around 8,000 ish. Right? So afterwards, yeah. The last halving was, I think, around, I don't think it was around May. I forgot which month it was, but it could be May. Okay, well, let's just look at this. Last 4-year cycle, it's a little bit different, but very similar. So if you look at the last cycle, right, Bitcoin went down, but didn't have a drastic recovery like what we experienced from 3,000. So when it fell down from 1,200 all the way down to 100 something, it just kind of stayed at 100 something before it started coming up, right? So it's a little bit different. It would be as if we fell down to 3,000 and we kind of stayed 3,000 and then 4,000, 5,000 and slowly coming up. But instead, we had a huge pump up to 14,000. So that kind of changed things a little bit. But if you look at last time, I mean, after it fell down to its bottom and then it started climbing, I would say around here is when you saw the halving event, the last halving event. And then afterwards, it did climb down a little bit, and then it started shooting up towards that previous all-time high, which was around $1,200, right? So I think a lot of people don't realize at the beginning of 2017 in January, Bitcoin only just hit $1,200. So a lot of people think in 2017 it was already like at 10,000. No, it wasn't. So that's how fast things could go. So I don't have the exact dates, Jimmy, but roughly that's what happened after the halving event. Kind of slipped down a little bit and started going up. This time around, after our halving event, kind of like nothing. I guess we did come down a little bit, right? So after we had a halving event somewhere around here, we came down slightly, but not really. And then now we're moving our way up again. Right, so kind of the same. Now I've been hearing from some of these other chartists that they think that the parabolic move is not coming in 2021 because the parabolic move, if it comes in 2021, we're gonna see something like this. Okay, and it's gonna be like crazy in 2021. If we have the same kind of returns as 2017, which is 1,500%. We're seeing Bitcoin at 300,000. But I'm hearing some people charting this, and they have some different ways of looking at it. They're looking at 2022 instead of 2021, which kind of lengthens the 4-year cycle. It becomes more like a 5-year cycle. So they have their explanation, but nevertheless, if it's going to pump in 2022, not 2021, we're still going to see some massive gains in 2021, right? And if you believe in stock to flow, we're right on track too. And that one puts us at 100,000 in 2021. So even if it doesn't go up to 300,000, if we stop at 100,000 in 2021, I don't think anyone's going to complain. right? And obviously, if Bitcoin goes to 100,000, then imagine what's going to happen with altcoins. Altcoins will be through the roof, right? Some of these all-time highs, yeah, it's going to shatter through them, and it's probably going to be forming all-time highs daily. So that's what we have to look forward to in the next 4 months and in 2021 and possibly into 2022. I haven't looked into Compound. I know they're another lending project. So, I mean, if you look at them, they're pretty much all the same. You know, they work the same way. They promise a high interest rate if you stake your crypto, right? And what do they do? In turn, take that and lend it out. That's their whole model. Every single lending platform is doing the same thing. Now, some are adding the ability to short and stuff like that, and they add in leverage, and just everything they add just becomes more and more dangerous, which is why I stress caution. John McAfee already said he's not doing it. He just basically, and he turned on Bitcoin because he got paid to show another altcoin. So now I forgot which one, Skycoin or some other coin, and said, oh, Bitcoin's ancient compared to some altcoin, whatever. So he's not doing any of that. ADA or ETH, pick one. If I had to pick in terms of growth, I would pick ADA or pick Cardano because, they still have a few steps left, smart contracts and scaling and stuff like that. But once they get going, it just seems like they're gonna have good traction afterwards. Seems like Charles has a master plan for it, and it could be moving much faster in ETH after it's done. But we'll see. Ethereum, they've been hanging around for a long time now, and they're getting the final stages to deploying Ethereum 2.0 soon, and we'll see what happens after that. Because after that, then they have to work on scaling. So they're still ahead of the game, still ahead of Cardano. But when you compare them to some of the other protocols that's out there already, they're already behind. But the good thing is the development base, all the DeFi products, everything is still built on Ethereum. So they're going to have that edge over everyone else. You still have faith in Dendocoin? That's since the bull run. I have not checked Dendocoin. Yeah. I got blocked from John McAfee when you turn on Bitcoin. Yeah, I don't get it. John McAfee just, he's a real loon. I don't know. He was one of the, even though people knew he was a loon, people liked him because he's a big Bitcoin advocate. And then all of a sudden he turned on Bitcoin. I don't know what project paid him, so I guess so much that he was able to, it convinced him to do it. I don't know. It's just really weird. Anyways. Yeah. Oh, by the way, those of you guys that are still tuned in here, some of you guys know that I did start a new channel called Bitcoin George. Now, the videos are exactly the same, but this is an experiment. Number one, I'm going to play around with the titles, so we'll try out. Number two is, I feel like, I want to try a new channel and see how the algorithm is. Because right now in CryptosRUs, I don't have the favor of YouTube's algorithm, right? My videos just don't do that well right now. So I'm trying to grow this channel, see if I can grow it and see how it grows, and if I could gain the favor of YouTube algorithm, that would be great, right? So if you guys support me, please subscribe to me and watch my videos on Bitcoin George, right? Maybe I'll put in some special videos so I'll give you guys incentive to actually watch it outside the ones I put on CryptosRUs. But I put a link, I pinned it to the top of the comments, so make sure you click on it and subscribe. I would appreciate it. So I just want to see, it's just an experiment. If it doesn't work out, I'm just going to discontinue it. But if it works out, great. But I want to just give it a shot. Yeah, XRP. So there's a lot of people that still love XRP, and I even created a video on it. I'm trying to be as real as possible, right? I'm not trying to throw too much FUD or too much FOMO in any given project. I even talked about, like those of you guys that think I don't like XRP, look, 6 days ago, 1 week ago, I actually created a video about XRP is heading higher. Why so bullish now? Because they settled their multi-year lawsuit about how XRP was sold as a security, and that's all going away. So because of that, XRP started pumping, but they kind of stalled recently. But let's look at their chart real quick. Binance. So yeah, I mean, let's go out more. So if you go back all the way to 2019, you can see basically lower highs, lower highs, lower highs, lower highs, right? And recently, it did break through a trend line. However, it did not break through a previous high yet. So take a look, right? Pretty obvious. Lower highs, lower highs, lower highs. And this was the point it was supposed to turn around. But this time, it didn't. It actually shattered through it. So that's pretty significant. That's number one, because I think this is due to the lawsuits being settled. However, it's not super bullish yet, because what you want to see is it break this, right? A previous high, which is around 34 cents. So if XRP continues back up, breaks through 34 cents, then it would have done what Bitcoin just did, which is break through an all-time high, and finally it can move up, right? So I think XRP, once it breaks through 34 cents, then it is really bullish. But right now, not super bullish yet, but it is an accomplishment that I was able to break through this trend line. So yeah, I know XRP is trying to break $589. I don't think that's gonna come anytime ever, but it could definitely move higher. Can it go back up to $3.80, $4? Possibly someday. Yeah, anything's possible. It could definitely do so, but maybe by then Bitcoin is already $1 million. We don't know. It's hard not to hate XRP. Yeah, my new camera, definitely a much higher resolution, but it's using a beta software. It's a Canon SL3, so it's a DSLR. And Canon, I found out recently, released a software that allows you to do webcam with it. So it's a little bit laggy. So sometimes you'll see the footage kind of cut in and out. But still, the resolution is much higher. And there's depth, so you see the background is kind of like blurred out. So it just looks better. Hopefully they upgrade this software, this beta software. So yeah. Your video is not showing up as live on my subscriber list. I still have that problem with my live videos, which I thought was resolved, but looks like it wasn't. So after I got my channel back, seems like a lot of things screwed up. So what YouTube explained to me is I need to tell all my subscribers to resubscribe and re-hit the notification bell. So I should do that. I keep forgetting to do simple things like that. So if you're not getting my notifications or something is off, make sure you unsubscribe, resubscribe, and re-hit the notification bell so you don't miss out, right? And do so on my other channel, Bitcoin George 2, because, again, that's my experimental channel. And if you didn't watch any of my daily videos, make sure you do so. I mean, even the one today about DeFi bubble. People look at a title and they're like, oh, why are you spreading FUD? No, I'm not. Just trying to caution people, but ultimately, I think DeFi is here to stay. And after seeing what Bobby wrote, kind of changed my perspective on why DeFi is important and not just a money grab and not just, a pump and dump on certain tokens. So thank you, Bobby. It kind of changed my perspective on things. WAN chain, Haroon, why are you shouting? WAN chain is done. Okay? Just get out of it, in my opinion. WAN chain's been done for a long time, and I think last time you asked that, probably a year ago, I told you that too. If you want a supply chain crypto, VeChain is all you want to hold. VeChain has all the traction, all the partnerships, and despite someone in the comments trying to spread FUD about VeChain that was like from 3 years ago it's not even relevant now. No, VeChain is the one to hold. WanChain, once upon a time, they had some traction. They're done. They're no longer relevant. VeChain is. BB, thank you for that. Ooh, there's an onset sticker too. And someone gave me someone else, Joe Harsh. I forgot to thank you for it. I appreciate that also. So appreciate these super chats. Should we hold on to BAT or swap to something else? That's a hard decision. Because BAT has not been moving nearly as much as some of these other projects. So, unfortunately, you look at the 1-1 change, it's only up 2%. All-time high is still not as bad as some of these other projects, but it's painful to see like BAT go up 2% when everything else is up 40, 50, 60, 80%, right? So, I don't know. Now, I will say that BAT is still a great project led by a great leader. And the Brave browser is getting a whole lot of attention and a lot more user. Now, there's not a lot of people that's using BAT. So, it's a hard choice. If you have a ton of BAT, maybe you could think about trading some of it out for some of these other altcoins or even Bitcoin that is moving much faster. Or you can continue to hold because things in crypto move in cycles. You know, BAT can suddenly start turning upwards, start moving really fast. Also during the next altcoin season, I think it's going to do well because it is one of the projects that actually has a working product and is being used. So it's a hard choice, man. You're going to have to decide. I don't know if Dogecoin could reach 10 cents, man. I don't pay attention to Dogecoin. If you buy anything, just buy something that's legit, okay? Don't buy Dogecoin. Can you do a video on how to tip on live stream? Jimmy, man. Right below Super Chat, okay, on the left-hand side, there's two buttons. One is a custom emoji button, and one is a $sign button that says show your support for CryptosRUs. And then, if you click on that, you can send a super sticker or a super chat. So that's how you see people send me super chat. Very easy. So right under the super chat on the left-hand side, there's two buttons. Hit the one that looks like a $sign, and that's how you do it. When is a good time to enter ERD or Kai? Do I still hold Wabi? I hold very little Wabi at this point. I'm hoping that they come up, but right now they have no traction because they're ultra low cap and just not a lot of people are paying attention to them. However, I recently looked at them and they did kind of rebrand. They're doing a lot of things that's different from before. I don't know the whole scoop, but they've been executing, which is amazing, and they're doing other things that isn't just on tracking foods anymore. So that's interesting. But I haven't really, to be honest, paid attention to Wabi that much. Now, ERD, I have looked at, Bitcoin is at 12,070, almost 12,100. ERD, I've always said I like their connection to Binance, but they've been going sky high. So best point to get into ERD is when you look at some of these indicators, like on a 4-hour right now. You look at stochastic RSI, all the way to the bottom. RSI is getting close to a point. Not all the way bottom, getting close to a point where it's near bottom. So actually it looks like it's not a bad buying point for ERD. Now, will it just skyrocket right away based on this? No. But if you're looking for an entry point, this is what you look for, right? Usually I look at either the 4-hour or the daily and look at the indicators going down. It's not guaranteed. It could go down even more. But it's usually a safer point than to just pick a random point to get in, right? But I think ERD is going to go much higher because of their connection to Binance. So, David, appreciate it. Thank you. I think he gave up on nulls. I didn't give up on nulls. I still hold some nulls. But here's the reality of it. It's become ultra low cap and just not a whole lot of people. is putting money into it. Now they're still executing. I know a lot of people still staking on nulls, and they're still getting new projects onto their nulls blockchain, right? But this is the reality of it. If you look at where they are, they're about 50 cents. They really need to break $1 before getting bullish, and they haven't been able to do that, right? And last time they broke through 54 cents, and these lines are resistances. I thought they would go do it, but then all of a sudden it came back down. People probably sold to get into other hotter projects. So right now they're hovering between these two lines, 54 cents and 44 cents. So what you want to look for in terms of nulls, especially if you're looking for whether or not they have regained momentum, is you want to see them break through 54 cents and head higher, right? If they do something like this again, could be a chance that this time around they go up to $1 because there's a lot of white space. There's a reason why there's a big white space because it fell down pretty quickly, right? So if they regain that and they go up to $1, and then if they break through that $1, that's when it's gonna get really bullish for nulls. But right now, just not a lot of people paying attention to them because they have fallen to an ultra low cap, and people are looking at some of these bigger caps. All right, guys, that's over an hour. Hopefully I added some value to you guys. I'll look at Kai later. Some people have mentioned it, Kai and Dai. I haven't really looked at them, so I'll take a look. But real quick, market watch. Futures is up tomorrow, which is good. Usually when futures are up, markets do well. It only helps pump Bitcoin more. And gold is still above 2,000. So overall, things are looking good. Bitcoin being above 12,000. If we could hold above 12,000 tonight, wake up tomorrow, man, watch out. Right after 12,000, the next point is like 13 and 14,000. So let me zoom in here a little bit. Let's try to get an exact amount. So 12,000 is like right around here, or 11.9, I should say. So next point will be right here, 12,300. I'll just draw a few lines here. So there's one right here, about 12,341. Then 12,700, and then 13,000. I'm just going to draw one at 13,000. Yeah, something like that. All right. So, going back to where we are. If Bitcoin go hold, above 12,000 tomorrow when we wake up, there's a good chance it'll be at 12,300. And then after that, yeah, there's a stopping point about 12,600. But, next point is 13,000. It's starting to get up there. It's starting to get expensive, guys. Those of you guys that, been sitting on the sidelines, right? Or, you've been waiting for another crash or something like that. It doesn't seem like it's going to happen. It could happen. I'm 60% of the time, I'm right all the time. Keep that in mind. It could happen. But if it doesn't happen, Bitcoin is getting pricey. It's getting to a point where very little people could actually afford one single Bitcoin. So those of you guys that actually do have a Bitcoin, and I've been hearing more from people like saying, yay, I finally hit a Bitcoin, congratulations. You're ahead of the game. It's getting to a point where people can't afford it. Think about right now what's going on with people out of job, furloughed and sitting at home or whatever. Can they plop out $12,000 to buy a Bitcoin? No, most people can't do that. Imagine when Bitcoin goes to 13,000, 15,000, 20,000, right? It's going to be very expensive. So those of you guys that have a Bitcoin, multiple Bitcoins, congratulations. It's been a long journey the last 3 years, but I think it's the good stuff is finally coming back, right? What we experienced in 2017, especially latter half of 2017, that is right around the corner. So it's gonna get good. So hang in there, guys. Hang in there, and Jimmy, appreciate that. Just saw that. And that's it. So thanks for watching. Apologize for the microphone issue once again. So smash the like, subscribe to the channel. maybe you have to resubscribe because of the problems with notification, and hit the notification bell and support me on my new channel, Bitcoin George, as well. And I'll put out a new video tomorrow. So I'll see you guys tomorrow, okay? And start checking out all my daily videos. Appreciate it. Take care, guys. Have a good one. And you know what? Since we talked about XRP, I haven't shown this in a while. I got a special message, a very important message for those of you guys that are XRP fans. Take a look.
What do you think about Ripple?
Well, I mean, I think it's too centralized, but I definitely want to meet Chris Larson.